Hello, welcome back to my channel. And welcome to another episode of the dbbc, where we read books about dumb characters while we are also dumb ourselves. But you know what's not dumb? Learning a new language or brushing up on language skills you already have. Which is why I'm super excited to be working with the sponsor of today's video, Babbel. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world, and it's the one that I've personally been using to brush up on my Spanish skills. Spanish is the language that I learned in high school. I feel like everybody has that language that they were learning in school, but most of us are not very great at the conversational skills portion of a language and learning a new language. And that's why I love Babbel so much. They really focus on honing those conversational skills as like the focus. So you're not just learning a bunch of vocabulary and not being able to use it, you're actually learning skills where you can converse with someone else in a foreign language. Babbel is also scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in 3 weeks. And Babbel offers live classes as a part of your subscription. You get 2 free ones with your subscription, which is super cool. And I love the app because it's super easy to use and it lets you pick what you want to learn. You're not stuck having to follow a particular learning path. If you have something you're really focused on, like you want to learn specific words or phrases or conversational skills that will be helpful in travel, for instance, a bunch of lessons on travel, and you can just do those at your own pace, which I really love. Plus, Babbel has a few different subscriptions to choose from, including a lifetime subscription. So while solo hablo un poco de español, I'm ready to learn even more. Click the link in my description to get 60% off of your subscription. I have notes.
Okay, that's good. Because I don't remember.
Let's talk about Throne of Glass. Hayden actually started this book, I want to say like a week or 2 ago.
It's probably like a week and a half at least.
At this point, I just read my first 12 chapters. Spoiler alert, we've gotten 12 chapters in. I got through my 12 chapters yesterday, and so he's a little, like, rusty, and I took notes. I took the liberty of taking notes for
Here's
this
the thing,
BBC.
even if it wasn't a week and a half ago...
I can feel the shade. I can feel it coming.
No, I was just gonna say, the story / the characters haven't been that memorable to me yet, and, like, do not remember a single character's name.
Well, the good news is, I've read this book 3 times, so I have lots to say about it.
Okay. I'm not saying I don't have things to say. I'm just saying I don't remember characters' names right now.
Oh, I've got your back. Okay,
right.
So we open up the book with our main bitch, Selena. She has been a slave in salt mines in Endovier for the past, I don't know, year or so. We don't need the exact timeline. We're gonna go with the year or so. Okay?
It's been a while, yeah.
Maybe 9 months, whatever. Most slaves in this situation only last about a month, but our girl, she's got skills. She's got prowess. She is the lead, the top, the most impressive assassin in all of Aurelia. Okay.
Which, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I've already said this for one of the vlogs, but personally don't like when a story starts out like that. I don't like when your introduction to the protagonist...
They're the biggest, they're the best, they're the baddest.
Yes, they're already the best blank, whatever it is. But I understand that part of this is her going to be not as good as she thinks she is, and she's gotta kind of improve. I don't know. I'm assuming that she's going into her whole... Because she's got to be a champion for the kingdom, right? I'm assuming that she's thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to win. No one knows who I am. I'm the sleeper pick. It's a secret that I'm, top assassin.
This is a debated topic. We'll get there. Let me get back to the timeline and, like, what's going on, and then we can get into it.
Give me one sec. Because you have, like, a bundle of cat hairs right here on the side of your face, and it was...
Is it bothering you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this from you because you've already bitten into this laptop once, sir. Cannot be trusted. So we've got Selena. She's in the salt mines. She is dirty. She's smelly. And she gets taken.
Is it salt?
It's
Is that
salt.
what they're mining?
Yes.
Did they say that?
Pretty fucking sure.
I know they mentioned the mines, but I couldn't remember if they had mentioned that it was salt.
I would say about 99% it's salt.
I would believe you.
I was gonna try to riddle off the scientific... I don't know what it is.
NaCl?
Yeah.
Sodium chloride?
Yeah, I almost got it. Irrelevant, doesn't matter. She is getting escorted from the mines and from this dark hole, like this mole hill that she has been in for months and months. She's pallid, she's underfed, and she's being escorted through the nice part where the overseers and the administrators of the salt mines, the prison essentially, where they are staying. So she's being led around, she's blindfolded, whatever, and she is being paraded around by Kale, who is the captain of the guard, and who she doesn't really know, but she figures out quickly he is the captain of the guard. She gets introduced to him later.
How do you spell Kale?
Chaol.
Chaol. Okay. I was curious as to the pronunciation, I guess. If it was like Kale, like Kale.
That's
or if it's like
Kale.
K. For some reason in my mind, I was thinking Kayol.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're like
kale?
The audiobook narrator and other people sometimes infuse more of the O sound in there. I don't, because I'm from Texas, and that's just not how my
I kind of like it, though. It makes it different than just kale, like the leafy green.
So it's basically chaos with an L. Anyway, he escorts her to this chamber and is like, yo, you're going to be the champion for the king. You're going to have to do this competition. I mean, he kind of explains it to her, and also the crown prince is there too, and he's explaining this to her. He's like, yo, I'm saving you. I'm getting you out of here. I will basically allow you to not be imprisoned anymore. We'll give you like a 4-year sentence under the king if you are his champion. Like, if you win this competition, you're going to go into this competition. You're going to have to compete. And if you win, you'll get your freedom in 4 years. But over that 4-year period, you're going to have to like murder people, which is like not going to be super chill, but it's necessary, you know? And
you're going to do the dirty
work. You got the skills,
yeah.
The killing skills, the killing tools. The competition's simply a formality, my dear. I like the character dynamics in this first scene. I think it's interesting reading this book for a third time and getting to actually pick up on small things that you don't pick up on otherwise. Mostly that Kale's fucking annoying, which I already knew, and that Dorian is just that guy. Like, I just love him. That's all I have to say. What do you got for us, Hayden?
Well, so one of the things that is making this a struggle is the fact that I don't like any of the characters.
That's fair. I mean, I don't like really any of them either.
I already said I don't like when the main protagonist is already that bitch. She knows it and she acts like it, even though she's a prisoner. She's just kind of annoying, I guess. And so is, what's his name?
Kale? Dorian?
No, Kale at this point in the book hasn't really, like, said that much.
Oh, he's just neutral to you? Are you talking about Dorian?
Yes, Dorian.
The crown prince?
Yes, Dorian is just like a prince. You're not supposed to like the prince.
I think you do like him, though. Not you in particular, but I think you're supposed to quickly because we find out that he's not as bad as his daddy. He, like, doesn't want to be there when he's, like, torturing people, that sort of thing.
So?
Anyway.
He's still a piece of shit.
We can come back to...
He's still literally overseeing a slave camp, basically,
well,
you know?
You know, we all have our flaws. I was going to bring up the fact that Selena, I think you were saying you think that she's introduced in the way that she is because Sarah J. Maas is some mastermind and is going to show us that, like, Selena is really not the biggest and baddest. And I actually think that's an interesting point that pretty much no one's ever fucking raised. Most people think that Selena is just overconfident and or she genuinely believes and that people around her believe that she is the best at what she does, even though this book proves that that's not the fucking case whatsoever. I don't think anyone really has read this book well. Maybe the Sarah J. Maas stands out there are like, no, Hayden's right. They set Selena up to be the baddest so that she can be taken down a peg, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's
not
even
necessarily taken down a peg, but I just mean she's like, oh, I'm the greatest assassin, but that doesn't necessarily make you the greatest everything else. I'm anticipating that the challenges that will arise in this book in order for her to win the competition to become the champion or whatever are going to challenge her in ways that she may not have been challenged previously, show her that maybe being number one assassin isn't everything. You still gotta do some other stuff to be the best, you know, depending on how you're pushed.
I feel like I want to hear Sarah J. Maas's opinion because I feel like there's not enough nuance in the writing to really lead you to believe that, at least in my opinion. That's never how I've interpreted it. Although I'm not saying it's an invalid interpretation. It's just never something I've thought.
I'm not saying it's nuanced. I've only read 25% of this book, so...
I know.
And in that first 25%, she does do a little sword fighting with Kale. She gets her ass kicked.
She does.
And she's actually trying to, and I understand that she's like a little bit rusty, but you can't even beat this guy.
I mean, he's the captain of the King's Guard.
Yeah, but still, she's supposed to be the number one assassin. In my mind, if she's the best assassin, she should be able to assassinate a guy like Kale. And I'm not saying that she can't, but that doesn't mean that she can necessarily best him in a sword fight, because that's not an assassin's strong point.
Fair enough. Hello, my love. Would you like a pet? Want a pet? He is delicious. So, fast forward. Selena's now at the castle, and she is prepping and preparing herself for this competition. She's going to, again, compete against a bunch of, like, devious bastards. She is going to see if she can come out the victor.
Also, when she arrives...
Yes.
They, I didn't know if this was something that you were going to mention,
Sure.
But when she arrives, they are trying to keep her identity a secret.
Yes.
And so they're basically pretending that she's like a lady that Dorian, is that his name, Dorian?
FAQS?
Oh, well, has invited, like a mistress, not even necessarily a mistress formally, but like he's a lady that she's invited. So, she's just a lady.
Yeah.
No one is suspecting that she's an assassin. And in fact, all of the other people in the court are starting rumors. There's a lot of whispers as to like who she is. She's making people jealous.
I think, yeah, that's an interesting interesting thing that gets brought up. I think what I liked about the parts before, I don't want to say liked is a strong word, things that were interesting to me in this part of the book, is really like the way in which Selena's character is a little all over the place. On the one hand, she's too good to sleep in the bed. Like, not too good, but like she's a roughened, hardened criminal. She's been sleeping on the ground in these salt mines forever. Like, she doesn't want to sleep on the mattress. It's too comfortable for her, right? But then she quickly turns into, or like quickly, where are my pretty dresses? I want to wear pretty dresses. I want to read books. I live a life of luxury.
She sleeps on the ground? I didn't remember that.
The first night, she like tries to get comfortable and she's like, the silk and the satin is just not for me. I have to get off the bed. And when she awakens in the morning, or like Cale comes to wake her up, he's like, why are you on the ground?
Don't know why I didn't remember that part, but yeah.
My detail recall is surprisingly good for this book, and I'm sort of proud of myself.
It's normally not. not to like, throw shade or anything.
No, it's
but
true.
Like,
I'm fucking
that's normally
terrible at
like
it.
me.
No, I know. And that's honestly probably why I can reread this book for a third time, because like, I don't remember half the shit that happened.
Yeah, I will agree with you that that might be one of the reasons why Selene hasn't been... What's her name? Selena. Exactly. I was just going to say, she hasn't been, like, memorable to me because she's so all over the place. There aren't really character traits
hard
to pin down. Because of that, I don't even hate her as a character. I don't know her as a character because who is she? All I know is that she supposedly, in almost like a previous life at this point, because she's been slaving away in the mines for a year, was a number one assassin, did some shit that she's not proud of.
Well, yeah, she also escaped from her homeland of Terrasen when it was under attack by the king, and she was found by Arab Hamel and taken to his keep, and she was trained as an assassin. Look at me with my recall. Ooh.
But yeah, because
a third time.
Because her character is like all over the place, it's hard to pin her down, and also that makes it to where it's hard for me to like or dislike her, or even remember what her name is.
Fair enough.
But that being said, I also don't remember any of the other characters' names. But that's because it was like a week and a half ago,
Oh, also, I made a note here. Sarah Janet really, like, her word choice sometimes is questionable at best. And my favorite is whenever they arrive to the castle, after a couple of weeks of traveling on the road with Dorian and Cale, he points out that she's fattened up a bit. Mm-hmm. And this is unprompted. She's not talking about her body. He's not saying, wow, you look amazing. He's just like, you fattened up a bit since we've gotten back. What? Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Yeah, I just like, in what way was that necessary? I'm not saying it's like problematic. I just like, why? I mean, it stood out to me because I'm like...
to me, I didn't think about it that much, only because I know that prior she was literally a slave working in the mines, and I'm imagining that she was probably like bones, like they were feeding her nothing.
No, I know, and they point that out, but what I think's interesting is that he's the one that brought it up. Didn't she say like, wow, this dress fits me so well now that I've like filled out a little bit since...
Who is it? Dorian says it?
Yeah, Dorian just
that's the least surprising thing of all. What do you mean?
It just seems...
He's a piece of shit prince. Like, I think that's why why is he likable? What do you mean? Like, what has he done that is like redeeming in any way that makes him a likable character? Quickly are supposed to like him? How and why?
I think he's charming. I don't know. I think Cale's a piece of shit.
Should I tell you fattened up a bit? Will that make me charming? Should I convince other people that we're sleeping together, even though I'm just taking you out of prison and slavery to fight for me, to maybe impress my daddy? Does that make me charming?
Speaking of Dorian, a thing that I thought was great was there's this scene between Kaltane and Selena. Kaltane is this like kind of bitchy lady at court. She's kind of a player. Like, she's kind of trying to go after Dorian, but she's also kind of in cahoots with Duke Parrington. We find out more about her character later, which is why I remembered her name. I like totally forgot about this like first interaction that she has with Selena, like their first meeting, where they're kind of like sending bitchy quips back and forth because Selena's like, I'm obviously not a whore like you are, and Kaltane is like, you're no better than me, kind of. It's not quite that cool, but I think it's funny. Before she goes out, I don't know if it's Philippa, her like lady's maid, that says that. Someone says Dorian is described as having a big heart, which is like a playful way of saying that he's a man whore.
Yeah.
I just really like that. I'm gonna start describing myself as having a big heart.
A big heart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just describing other people that way. That's just good. I like that. The other note after that is just Cale is annoying, which, fair enough. I think he is pretty fucking annoying. I just don't like his character.
Him annoying?
I think he is irritating. Here's the thing. The two, like, archetypes that we've got going here with the two main male characters. Also, sorry, my nose is itching like a mofo
There's, like,
today.
hair
There's,
stuff
like,
floating
cat hair
around,
floating in the air. Cale is supposed to be the sort of, like, stern and gruff one who sort of, like, has not playful, but, like, kind of rude, nagging banter towards Selena, whereas Dorian is supposed to be the more like idealized, charming, like maybe a little bit of a player, but like he's fun and he's nice kind of guy. Like there's the two, you know, different archetypes there. I just don't like it. I don't really fuck with that kind of male main character, and I think that's a running theme here. I think Rowan, it later on in other books, reminds me a lot of Kale in that way. Like just it's not my thing. I'm very much a Dorian and Rhysand kind of gal myself.
So for me, my perspective on it so far, and obviously I'm only 25% through and have only read that 25% one time a week and a half ago, whereas you've read it 3 times, right?
Sure.
Obviously your perspective is a bit different. Had thought about it in terms of Dorian is allowed the freedom to be like charming and like kind of fun and stuff like that, whereas Kale is supposed to be the captain of the guard. He's supposed to be straight edge.
Stick in the mud, no fun.
Yeah, stick in the mud, no fun. I mean, exactly.
Which is fine, but that's just not what I want from like my hero.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is he charged with training Selena?
I don't know about like, you're talking about for the competition?
Yeah, because he kind of does in the beginning a bit.
Sort of. I think so, because here's the thing. Each of the competitors has a sponsor, and I think that the sponsor is supposed to like encourage them to train and like either spar with them or just like, I don't know, like kind of oversee them.
Yeah, and I also understand the fact that a lot of the competitors are a little bit shady, so there has to be someone like kind of supervising that person, and so he is that, and so not only in general does he have to be kind of, you know, hard-nosed because he's captain of the guard, but on top of that, he's also supposed to be like watching over this literally slippery motherfucker who may try to escape at any point, and his career and possibly life might be on the line if he doesn't like get her to do everything that the prince wants her to do.
Here's the thing. Do I understand all of that? Absolutely. Am I well aware? Yes. Do I like it? No. I just don't like it. I don't like him. I think he's annoying. Okay.
Well, that's just
I get it.
That's
but
why
I
I haven't
worst.
like. That's why it hasn't even like crossed my mind that he's like annoying, because it just is who he is for.
He has to be
a
annoying.
reason.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
exactly. If he were any different, it would make me feel weird about it. You know, it's just like what he has to be as a character, not who he has to be because of the situation that he's put into, but just as a character, like he kind of has to be there. You know.
Fair enough. I think the last note that I have is that the name of the king's sword is it supposed to be nothing? No-thung?
I don't know. They said it one time, but I don't remember.
Spelled like not hung, which I don't know if Sarah was trying to be funny, but I think that was pretty good zinger, if so. Cross my legs like a lady, which I'm not. Hello. Are you also saying that I'm not a lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just kidding. You're a woman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. We read book. We 50% into book. Book has plot that I sort of know.
Does it? Because I was gonna say, as if the characters weren't convoluted enough, then
There's
they
a
had
lot
to.
going on. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a real cosmic gumbo.
I like that. I don't really want to get into the details, mostly because I'm about to go eat dinner and I care more about stuffing my face with Alfredo than I do about updating you on this book. However, basically all that's really happened, well, there's a lot actually. Mostly there's been a lot of different competitions, and Selena proves herself to be a dumbass multiple times in a row by like showing off and just generally being stupid. Like there's one time where she kind of makes friends with one of the other competitors, and when he is in a dire situation and is about to be killed when they're like climbing up a building, she's like, you know what, instead of scurrying up this building myself, I'm gonna make sure that this man doesn't die. So she like does a rescue mission, which was stupid. She also shows off in the archery competition. All of that's happening. Also, like, competitors are just kind of like showing up dead around the castle.
Okay, here's my thing. Not only are they showing up dead, but they're literally showing up like with their insides eaten out and their brains missing. Each and every one of them, and everyone's just like, it's an accident, it happens.
I think no one gives a fuck.
I'm like,
they're like criminals.
Yeah, but human beings are showing up half eaten, and you're just like, oh yeah, he was a criminal, it's fine. Like, you don't care that might happen to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know,
fair,
like it's not like they're showing up they got like stabbed or their throat cut or something like that. Something scooped their brains out of their skull and ate their insides. So we got that going on. Selena meets a friend.
Is there a truck? That surely is fucking annoying. Yep. It's a big-ass SUV. Welcome to Texas.
Selena makes a friend in the form of
Nehemia.
Princess.
Princess of Eelway, which is one of the only lands that has not been conquered by Dorian's dumb dick daddy.
I thought that they had been conquered.
I mean, kind of, but not really. Like, they're not fully under the rule, because, like, she's a princess. All the other lands, like, don't have royalty. They're
okay, I see what you're saying.
Do at this point. She's making friends. She's also, like, having weird conversations with Kale and Dorian. She's, like, kind of pissed both of them off, but also at the same time is like kind of toying with them, and they like her, and it's like, who's gonna wind up with Selena?
The part where all of a sudden she's just like, I kind of want to kiss him. I wanted to stop listening right then. Like, literally right then. I was like, why in the fuck would you want to have anything to do with this man? He's done nothing for you.
He's saved like, her from the salt mines.
And, like, would you say the same thing about a slave owner who decides to, like, let their slave inside?
Okay, that's a little different.
No, she was literally a slave in a salt mine. He's like, why don't you put on some dresses and stay in the castle for a while? And she's supposed to fall in love with him because of that? That's what I don't understand. I don't like it. She had no reason. There's, like, no motivation for her character.
He's handsome, has blue eyes. So
it was so dumb.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Would have been more okay if, like, there had been some more stuff going on that had caused her to be like, oh, maybe he's not such a bad guy, or something like that, you know? Like, that was the line. But she was literally like, I kind of want to kiss him right now. I'm like, what the fuck? This is so stupid. So there's that. On top of, like, the people going missing and being eaten, and all of the challenges since she's supposed to become the champion or whatever. Yeah. Then she, like, has a dream with a woman who, like, was a...
That wasn't a dream. What are you talking about?
Huh? Or, you know, not a dream, but it wasn't, you know? Because she, like, wakes up as the medallion. She's like, oh, was that a dream? But then she's like, oh, no.
I mean, I think it's clear that it wasn't a dream.
Yeah, I know it wasn't a dream. She's, like, a spirit lady.
She wasn't a real person.
Yeah.
Or, like, not alive. Old princess of Terrasen.
Yeah.
Which is where Selena's from. Visits her and is like, hey, there's bad shit going on.
She's like, there's an evil force. You must save the world. And in order to do so, you must become you must win this competition.
You gotta stay strapped.
You must win this competition and become the champion. Okay. Cool. Just go ahead and make this more complicated, but also, like, tie it back into this stupid fucking competition thing that the king has set up, as if, like, that has some kind of bearing on, like, humanity, bad things that are gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing, I'm irritated. You can tell.
It's so interesting the thing that, like, Hayden's irritated by, and then the things that, like, other readers of this series are irritated by.
What are other
I mean, you're not, like,
invalid.
Most people just fucking hate Selena.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I fucking hate Selena, too, but I don't want to just, like, say that over and over again when there's
fair enough.
Also so many other things to bitch about.
For me, the thing I don't like about this part of the book is that it's kind of boring. Like, despite so many different things happening, I'm sort of bored. You're throwing so much shit at me. It doesn't feel propulsive. It just feels like you're setting up other books. And that's fine. Like, obviously you have to kind of lay the groundwork with, like, the word marks and with Nehemia and with random bitch who's like, you're gonna save the world. It doesn't feel propulsive. Like, there's been a couple of different times when it's like, oh, a couple of the mini competitions, whatever, the challenges, a couple of the challenges happened. We haven't even gotten to see them. It's just like, oh,
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, literally,
there was like a
nothing
spy
much
challenge.
Happened.
Like, that's cool.
There's been 2 challenges. She passed both of them. That was, like, literally, that was, like, the line in the book. Cool, but that's kind of the only part of this that I care about. Like, if you're gonna say that she's the #1 assassin, give me her doing some cool assassin shit. I kind of don't give a shit about the other parts.
That's kind of a running theme, I would say, in my reread. Like, the last reread I did was in 2021, I think. I did a book on almost all the books in the series. I kind of crapped out. I didn't do the last 2, okay? I didn't do the last 2, and y'all have been coming for me, and that's fair. But, yes, the first time I read it, I really hadn't read much fantasy, and so I was like, oh, this is cool. The second time reading it, I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, the ideas are cool, but the execution is just not there. Pacing and the excitement is just not there for many of the books. 1 or 2 of the books is exciting out of 7. So, where's the fun? Where's the fun, Sarah?
And what's interesting to me is that with ACOTAR, and I'm sure that I will be proven wrong shortly, right? With ACOTAR, I could kind of see where some people were coming from, liking that series in terms of the romance aspect. You could overlook the shitty fantasy part to get to the like, people liked the romance of it, right? This book, I swear to God, if what people like about these books is the romance,
they do.
I'm going to end it all.
There are other characters introduced throughout the series. That's the biggest difference, I would say, between ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. Obviously, the length of the series is much different. Like, ACOTAR is 3 books. The main series is 3 books. The main series is 7 books. There are important and new characters introduced over the course of the series. Kind of like a Wheel of Time, you know? Like, there are, like, really important players being introduced in this book, but there are a lot of players that come later on.
But I'm saying, like, this book in particular, is what people like about it the romance, or do they like the do they even like it?
Good question. And I don't know the answer to that.
I'm sorry I'm getting so heated. It's interesting to me that this one is making me more heated than some of the other books that we've read.
No, I like it. I eat
recently.
it up. This is why I picked this book for you, Hayden.
It's because, normally I feel like I don't have that much to say because who am I to be judging romance genre? I, haven't read that much of it. I guess I can give my input on the one particular book that I'm reading, right? But I can't really say, this is good romance or bad romance. This one, there hasn't been romance yet. Here's all I have is the fantasy, and I can tell you, I don't like that. I honestly, this is the first time that I'm saying that I would prefer some Sarah Janet romance in this book. Right. But I know the romance that's coming, and I don't want it.
I don't know that you do know the romance that's coming.
Alright, you can be right. Do you start having sex with the other little thief kid?
It's no one in this book. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse.
I mean, it does. It makes me feel.
On that note, I'm about to feel some pasta fill me up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hello from the McDonald's parking lot. We are on a fun little tripod hanging from my... Oh, we could have hung it from the ceiling. That would have been so cool.
That would have been kind of cool, yeah. And then we both just look up like this the whole time.
We hung it from the windshield. Hopefully the focus will be better in this clip. I know that the focus kind of goes in and out when we're in the car, and it's because of the screen, so I decided to bypass that and use a little hanging one. Let me pull up my phone. Let me get the notes going. I'm so ready. I'm so ready to hear your 75% of the way into this book thoughts.
I mean, if I'm being honest, it's a lot of the same feelings that I've already had. They just keep adding things to the plot that makes it more complicated, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
The princess lady.
Nehemia.
She's just
there.
No. I mean, she did the whole, weird thing where she can talk normally.
Alright, let me break down the plot. Because I guess that's my job now, even though it's usually a Hayden job. I think what we're finding is that the audiobook is maybe not the way to go with these books, because Hayden is not able to recall plot points very well.
No, I can recall plot points. You've just read this book 3 times. I mean, I could tell you everything that's happened. I just didn't know that was... You asked me what my thoughts were, not give me the recap,
Well, you were getting into the Nehemia bit, so I figured... Alright, so this portion of the book is kind of just more of the same, as Hayden was kind of saying. His thoughts are similar. Because the book has really not been that different, we've got more competition. We have Selena flirting more with both Kale and Dorian, though it does seem like Dorian is going to be the winner of this book. It seems like she is kind of more on his side than on Kale's side. He ends up buying her some sweets for Yulemas, basically Christmas. He gifts her a dog. She dances with him at this masquerade Yulemas ball that she's not invited to, but she crashes because she likes pretty things and she likes to dance. And there are more people showing up dead. Plus there's the inclusion of word marks, which are these symbols that keep showing up in different places. Selena first sees them on this clock tower or near a clock tower, and she's like, what is this about? And she asks Nehemia, and Nehemia acts stupid and she doesn't know anything. It's clear that Nehemia does know more than she's let on previously, though. She definitely knows more of the common tongue or the common language. Selena thought she's been asking Selena for these lessons, these language lessons, and then she speaks in perfectly fluent, no accent reply to Selena at one point, and Selena's like, what the fuck? Am I being betrayed? Also, a bunch of slaves going to the salt mines that are coming from Nehemia's land got slaughtered, 500 of them. And so Nehemia, we don't really know what she's up to, but we know that she's not super happy. Selena at one point kind of questions, oh, maybe Nehemia is someone who...
Looking for revenge.
Maybe she has something to do with all these competitors showing up dead. She's just really not sure what's going on. And at one point, Selena has a bunch of word marks in chalk in her bedroom, under her bed or something like that, and she washes them away in hopes that nothing will come and get her, because we have found that there are word marks at the sites of these people who have been slaughtered. So that's kind of what's going on.
There's been so many competitors that have died that they've glossed over. They literally said, oh, another 5 champions had died, so now there's only 5 of us. How many were there at the start? 40 or something?
No, not that many.
You sure?
I think it was 20 or maybe 30. It was not 40.
Either way, they've glossed over
all the deaths.
Basically everyone getting knocked out of the competition, and now I think where we left off, there's 5 people left. They also glossed over, I don't know, they said 5 more challenges or something like that. They were just they were fine.
She didn't die. There was one where she has to parse through poisons and figure out which one is the poison or which one isn't poisonous. There's 6 potions in front of her, wines, and she's got to figure that shit out. She ends up cheating. She actually gets a hint from the ghost lady. Apparently she's not going away.
There's also a scene where she finally goes to look at one of the bodies that's been torn apart, and she finds a bunch of clues that no one else has seen, even though supposedly there's been 15 dead people all killed in the same way.
That is what is nuts to me. I had this same issue. I read this book recently called The Perfect Marriage. I'll give you the short version of the plot, but basically this woman, her husband sleeps with someone, and the mistress ends up dead in his bed.
Okay.
And she is an attorney, so she's going to defend her husband. And instead of just being a fucking attorney, attorney, she plays detective, and not even plays detective, she works with the police, and they, like, go to the scene of the crime after it's happened, and, it would never happen in real life, but she is somehow finding these clues that the police couldn't find. What the fuck is that? I understand they're supposed to be main characters, but, like, come on.
Yeah.
It's just unrealistic.
Yeah, it's so wild and, like, unnecessary, too. I think that people turning up dead plot point that is continued so far would have been so much better, just as impactful, if not more. There had been, like, maybe 4 people that wound up dead the same way. I even think 4 might be almost too many people to show up with their guts ripped out, slashes, word marks, missing brain.
It could have been, here's the thing, I think the issue with this part of the book, like, if I were to write this book, if I were to retool it, I think what I would do, personally, is have a fewer number of competitors, get to know each of them a little bit.
That's what I was going to say,
ton.
too.
I don't need, their whole life story, but it would be nice to have names to each of the people who are winding up dead, so you're like, oh, fuck, like, I didn't expect them to wind up dead, and you're wondering who's going to show up dead next.
Yeah, like, even the ones that they try to bring you close to in this section, she's had, 2 friends? One of them just gets, like, knocked out in one of the competitions, but they don't even talk about the competition that he gets knocked out in. They're just like, there was one more challenge, and she's fine, but he got knocked out.
And by knocked out, he doesn't mean, like, physically knocked out. He's just no longer in the
competition. He's no longer in the competition, yeah. He lost his challenge or whatever, but they don't even go over it. And he's probably one of, if not, like, the only competitor that she's gotten anywhere near close to.
That and Kane, who's, like, her biggest competition or some shit like that. And it's just frustrating. I think there's far too much time spent on the extra stuff. I don't even think the word marks are bad, but I think the addition of Elena, the, like, ghost lady, is just kind of unnecessary in this book. And I also think that this will they won't they between, like, her and Kale and Dorian would be fine. Like, I don't actually mind the idea of this love triangle. What irritates me is, like, the way in which we're spending so much time in the love triangle. In this section of the book, she spends so much fucking time with Dorian, and I'm sorry, but, like, he's not that great. I know I said earlier that he was okay, but I think I'm rethinking.
Yeah, are you just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you feel when at the end of, chapter 39, right at the end of where we stopped reading, she's like, oh, I just can't handle it. They'd fucking make out.
It felt like a natural progression.
Did it?
I mean, she's been saying, like, in most of her chapter closers,
but none
when
of
she's
it
with
is
him.
natural. All so forced, and for no reason.
What my favorite, I actually took some notes on this. What really kind of just sealed the deal for me as Dorian really not being that great is, not only was he, at the beginning, like, you've gotten fat, but says that he doesn't want to get married because he doesn't want to marry an inferior woman. What the fuck does that mean?
I honestly wasn't upset about that. He specifically said, I don't want to marry someone who's inferior to me in, like, mind and spirit or something like that.
Yeah, but who the fuck is he to determine that?
No, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I can understand from the perspective archetype of, like, a prince who's constantly being pushed into court for, like, some kind of possible marriage that's arranged for
just the way I get
political
it.
Game.
No, you don't have to tell me.
And then you just, like, you marry some random woman who's, like,
hot with no brains, I guess.
No, not even hot necessarily. Like, they're literally just someone's daughter, someone's important daughter.
Yeah, okay, sure, fair enough. I just didn't like the way he phrased it. Like,
yeah, I could feel that, but he's basically saying, like, I don't want someone who's dumb and who, like, doesn't care about anything aside from the court, like, being social.
He could have phrased it differently, is all I'm saying.
They're trying to set him up as, like, someone who actually cares about a woman's brains and stuff like that. I think is what they were trying to do there.
It wasn't Sarah Janet execution, not there.
He's not looking for a pretty face. He's looking for someone who's smart and who's, like, passionate and cares about the things that they care about, He's looking for a woman like Selena.
It's true, because at the end of his little spiel, and he, like, leaves after that, she's like, I like him. She literally says, I like him.
She's like, oh, I hate to say it, but I've completely fallen for him, and I want him.
No, that's not what she says. She says, I like him.
No, she says, I want him. I need to have him, or something like that.
Not at this point. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying specifically, I can see the text in my mind. She says, like, I like him.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a point, chapter 39, I'm pretty sure, where we left off. I think it's, like, before they kiss.
Kind of like Cold Stone, right?
Yeah, gotta have it. Yeah. What has made this?
And then there's Kale. It's like, do we even want to talk about him, because he is the wet blanket?
No,
of this
the only thing
book.
that I want to mention, because I think we're gonna run out of footage time here in a second.
Oh shit, yeah. Got 5 minutes.
The only thing that I wanted to say about Kale was I also didn't like in the same exact vein as her having no reason to be attracted to Dorian, and then all of a sudden just being like, oh, I really want him. At one point she just says, you're really handsome or something, and then in her mind she's like, oh my god, he really is like stunningly attractive. How did I miss this all along? It was right in front of my face. And I'm like, what is happening here? That's all I wanted
True
to
love,
say.
baby. True love.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
I don't think it's for us to get, you know?
Apparently not.
Oh, the only other thing of note that I had in my notes was that at the beginning of this, like, part of the book, Selena bites a pool cue. Like, she realizes she doesn't know how to play pool, and she's playing pool by herself. She gets so enraged that she screams and bites down on the pool cue, and Dorian walks in and is like, you know what? I still like this bitch.
I actually was gonna bring that up, that I thought it was weird that of all the things to, like, exist in this universe,
Pool?
you know? Yeah, that pool is a game that people play in the exact same way that we do.
You know what's even more unbelievable to me is the fact that an assassin would have time to train on the piano and be, like, really talented at it.
Also, I don't like that they continually call it the pianoforte. I don't know why, but I don't need it every time.
It sounds fancy.
I think they've said pianoforte, like,
That's what it's called.
12 to 15 times.
It's fancy, and Sarah Janet, if she's gonna do anything, she's gonna make shit sound fancy, even if it's not. Commend her for that, because that's what I like. I want a little bit of, like, pretty dresses. Sparkly
In
dresses?
pianoforte.
Yes.
We did it.
We did it. We're those girls. Those girls with allergies, wow.
I'm tired.
Of this book, of life.
Just like in general.
Okay.
I think this book has made me tired.
Feel like the ending was anticlimactic. I knew that that would be the case. Are you wiping your face like you just ate ribs?
Because Dingo put his wet nose on my face.
Okay. The ending of this book. We've got scheming, we've got plotting, we've got intrigue. We've got none of those things actually because it's a Sarah J. Maas book.
I just want to start out with, like, I'm pretty sure that it's basically right when we left off, like right at the 75% mark. She
is Selena, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Selena's in the library. She's trying to find out more stuff about the word signs.
Marks.
Word marks. She finally finds the one that she's looking for, and it's to summon a creature that will kill your enemies and steal their strength for you. I can't believe my friend is a traitor. Instead of harkening back to literally just a couple of chapters ago where she sees Cain and is like, how does this man keep getting bigger and bigger every time I see him? He's gained 10 pounds of muscles since the last time I saw him. He must be training a lot. And that just, like, doesn't cross her mind at all when she sees, like, creature sap strength. Also, literally the only villain in this book. She doesn't consider it at all. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No one ever said you had to be smart to be an assassin.
Honestly, I think the thing that irritated me most about this book...
Yeah. Oh, we're just already into that?
Well, kind of.
Sure.
Like, because we're getting into it,
right?
Yeah. The thing that irritated me the most about this book is that the villain was the villain. Like, they kept playing it up. There was going to be other villains.
There were
like,
other
there was going to be,
people.
like, a shock twist. In my mind, for a second, I liked the idea of, because for some reason in this part of the book, we're also given the knowledge that Keltane is an opium addict. I thought for a second that maybe she was, like, smoking the opium to, I guess, like, fight down the, like, monster inside of her, and she was gonna be the...
That would have been
the
tight.
monster. That would have been kind of tight, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would have been like, oh yeah, I actually kind of didn't see that coming, you know? It would have been kind of cool. But nah, she's just an opium addict, which was just weird.
Just a weird inclusion.
Yeah.
It made her, like, more easily under the influence of Duke Parrington, though. Like, she has headaches and stuff, and maybe she does see demons, and the opium helps her not see the demons. Do you ever consider that?
I don't think that that's the case. Yeah, I think the only demons she's got is that addiction to chasing the dragon, you know?
Didn't really like the ending of this book any of the times that I've read it. Mostly, it just feels not very fun. Like, she has this moment, Selena has this moment, this culmination, right? We have this final duel between her and Cain. She duels someone else right before it, and then the final duel is between her and Cain, obviously. She is served a poisonous drink by Keltane right before she goes into, like, dueling. Yeah. And so she's incapacitated, and it's also making her see weird shit, kind of like Keltane, I guess. And she is kind of incapacitated. Like, she's not able to fight to her full ability. That somehow she overcomes. We get this, like, kind of weird, dreamy sequence of Elena is coming to help her and is, like, giving her strength and is taking away the poison in her body. And, like, with the power of God and anime on her side, like, she is going to win this competition. Obviously, she does. And then at the end, which I thought was kind of interesting, and I sort of forgot that this happened, Cain doesn't die. He is going to murder Selena. Like, she is done. She's won the competition, but she turns her back for a second and he has like a knife and is going to stab her in the back. Kale like jumps over the railing and like murders Kane. I mean, he's got it bad. Is everyone just a cuck for Selena?
Yeah, and I really don't understand it. She's not that cool. Again, the Elena thing,
also
her being a character, not really, wasn't my favorite. Maybe she comes back in the next book or something.
The amount of care given to her as like a character or as a plot device is about as much as Sarah J. Maas put into naming her, because
I was gonna say the same thing, because I almost called Selena Elena a couple of times.
I definitely did that last time I read it.
Yeah,
channel.
And like Kale and Kane.
Yeah, that one. There are other letters in the alphabet.
Or like sounds, I guess, is more for me, because obviously
true.
I didn't read it, I just heard it.
Oh, Dorian, our sweet prince Dorian, he does a couple of things. One, he falls in love way too fucking easily. Also, he like talks to his daddy about being true to Selena and like making sure that she doesn't die, and also making sure that like Kale isn't punished for killing Kane, because it was very clear that like the king did not want Selena to win.
Yeah,
and he didn't want his son's champion to win. I kind of like forget that. Like, I know that that's said a couple of times that like it was Dorian who picked her out, but I keep forgetting that, and I think that makes sense a little bit as to why he's so in love with her. He kind of built her up in his head a little bit. Like, he found her in the salt mines and he's like, I saved you. He does kind of have like a white knight complex, I guess.
Yeah, he's awful. He's awful as a character. And not only that, he literally says to her at one point, I only picked you to piss my dad off.
I'm not arguing at this point.
Yeah.
He just is kind of a piece of shit. But he is in love with her, so don't forget that. That'll come up, I'm sure. The cool thing about Selena is that she's not really about that life. Like, she's kissed him a couple times, and she's like, you're getting a little clingy, a little needy. I'm gonna be a killing tool, so like, I can't really be with you anyway. You're the crown prince. This isn't gonna work out. I'm leaving after 4 years.
I am glad that they put her reaction to him kissing her like earlier in the book.
Yeah.
As she says to herself in her mind,
I'm horny.
No, this is part of the what is their last name even? I don't remember.
His last name?
Yeah.
Villiard?
She's like, why am I kissing someone from this family? Destroyed my whole home. They've killed so many people that I love. Why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. And then she stops doing it. But too little too late, because why in the fuck would you ever have like let it happen in the first place, in my mind?
War criminal's so sexy.
Also, I didn't realize until this part of the book that Kale, being the captain of the guard, has also never seen any action or like done anything. He lives a very boring and sheltered life. I didn't really think about that, because that's not how I envision King's Guard.
Yeah, you think they're like badasses, and like there's
like, he proved himself in battle at one point.
I'm pretty sure there's more to it, but I don't know, and I don't want to spoil the next book if we read the next book, so I will withhold.
No, he says, I've never like seen a man die, I've never been to battle, none of that stuff. He says that.
Oh, he said this is his first kill? Oh,
and
okay.
So does Selena. She's like,
I just felt like it wasn't said verbatim.
He's all like shaken up and stuff, and
pussy.
Not being cool about it at all. Selena's like, don't worry, I remember the feeling of my first one. You know,
the first kill.
It's never easy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's some like scheming right at the end of the book with Duke Barrington and the king. They talk about Caltaine. Oh, I forgot about that. Caltaine kind of like fucked herself. She ends up poisoning Selena under the advisement of Duke Barrington. He's like, just slip her a little something something in her wine. He's like,
the king wants you to do this.
Yes. And then after it's over, I think she finds out the identity of Selena and is like kind of up in arms about it. And the Duke doesn't seem surprised. And so she loudly says something like, you made me poison her. Like, I don't know. Something like that.
Well, she finds out before she does the poisoning. Oh. And then she's like, oh, well, yeah, this is easy. I can poison her. I can not feel bad about it because she's not a lady of noble blood. Then she tries to poison her. Somehow Selena still wins the fight. And the king is like, she's the champion. And Dorian's, like holding her limp body. And she's really pissed off that she's not there to like comfort Dorian over
war criminal dick.
Her dead body kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so she's like, why didn't this poison work? And he's like, what are you talking about, Duke?
But she says it so loudly as other people are like around, and so she basically is imprisoned by the king.
Well, even worse, she actually says it just to the Duke, and the Duke is like, what are you talking about? What's that in your hand? And she's like, it's the poison you told me to give him. And he's like, prison.
I love that reenactment. Yes, that's exactly how it went down. She is imprisoned.
Don't tell me I don't know the details.
Duke Barrington is talking to the king afterwards and is like, I don't really want that sweet piece of puss to be, like, imprisoned for too long. The king's like, don't worry about her. We got uses for her.
Oh, and he's like, it's good to know that the magical ring that we have works to control her mind.
Yeah, which will become a problem in later books, obviously. Setting things up, building blocks, Sarah Janet.
Yay. I'm so scared of two guys with two rings that can sometimes control people's mind if you put them on enough opium. It's like, what are these threats? A mythical being from the past comes back in spirit form to tell Selena, you gotta win this, you gotta defeat the evil to, like, save humanity. It's literally just a guy who looks like a demon if you're on enough drugs. I get that it's more than that, obviously, but it's these threats are not big enough for me to be invested. It would have been better to me. I know this sounds stupid because obviously this is setting up other books and there's going to be more magic and stuff like that. This would have been better to me as more of like a Hunger Games type of book where it's more about her trying to survive the challenges and not like a weird half Hunger Games, half murder mystery.
Half like court intrigue.
And then half like high fantasy
it
thing.
Doesn't it doesn't
it just didn't like mix together for me in a way that was compelling for any of the pieces.
And I've read magical competitions in other books that I think have done it better. This was just sort of like a missed opportunity. And here's the thing, this is not a terrible book. This is Sarah J. Maas's first book, and I'm pretty sure
this is her first book.
It's her first book.
Oh, I did not know this.
And she wrote this. She's not that much older than me. Like, not that much older. Maybe, like, 5-6 years. So, she wrote this over a decade ago.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that. And, yeah, it does add some, I guess, context to... Not that I'm really sitting here judging, like, was this bad book?
Yeah. You're just experiencing
like, did the author do a bad job?
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's a genre that currently I'm...
invested in, enjoy.
Well, and I only have, like, absolute tens to compare to, you know? I haven't really read fantasy aside from, like, basically every book that I've read for the last, like, 4 or 5 years, they've all been tens.
Yeah. He's worked his way through some Sanderson, some Jordan, you know, like the classics. And so I am providing you with this context, I guess, post-reading, because obviously I wanted you to just go in and, like, read it as it was presented to you. Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that this is something that she wrote. This is, like, the first book she wrote. I think it's compelling enough in that regard. It's also a young adult novel. And on top of that, this is one of the first, like, YA high fantasy novels to really, like, come out. The YA genre has really only been a thing for the past, like, 20-ish years, right? Like, with the advent of J.K. Rowling's books. After that, like, we got a lot of paranormal stuff. Like, we got Twilight. We got things that weren't brand fantasy novels. And this is one of the first to really, like, do it. And I'm not saying there haven't been others. I'm sure you're going to sound off in the comments. But, I mean, this just admittedly is one of the first that really did it. And frankly, there haven't been that many after. And I don't know if it's just part and parcel of the YA genre, but not very many authors are given the opportunity to write these expansive series.
So
like, there are other high fantasy, but just not to this extent.
So this is YA?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I didn't, I guess, realize that going in, and I don't know enough about YA to definitively say as I'm reading something, this is YA.
Yeah, I mean, YA is sort of this nebulous thing, right?
Yeah.
It's more about, like, the target audience for the novel rather than the ages of the characters.
Oh, no, 100%. I get that. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, there wasn't any fucking on page. There's not, like, super gruesome stuff on page either. So, like, to me, this is typical YA.
All of that being said, this was still not... I know I'm complaining a lot, and I said this to Chandler yesterday, that actually... I think says a lot of good things about the book that I have this many things to complain about instead of being like, this is just like a slog to get through. Credence, I keep hearkening back to Credence because that was just actually a chore to read. This wasn't, and there was enough of a plot and interesting things going on.
To comment.
Yeah, to be able to like actually pick at things that I wish were different. So, I mean... there is something to be said about that. This wasn't a horrible read or anything. I just, it's fun enough to get heated about.
And that is specifically, like, I picked this for that exact reason. I wanted something that we could really, like, dig into and discuss. And I think that's, like, the struggle, if you were curious about the DBBC, is that I love talking about books with him. I think it's fun, and I think sometimes books can provide really good fodder for us, as evidenced by, I think the top performing videos, like, in the DBBC series are the Sarah J. Maas ones. And I obviously know that those are popular books, but we've read other popular books that haven't performed quite as well. I think it's because these videos are more fun to film. Like, we have more to say, so much to comment on. There's fantasy, there's political intrigue, there's romance, and whether or not you like Sarah or you like these books, like, there's always a lot to say, and I like that.
Yeah, there's multiple topics to cover, and not just, like in Credence's case, like, not just, oh, I don't like these characters, or
I don't want them to fuck.
Yeah, I don't want to see these cousins having sex. Like, that's the whole book of Credence, is just the shock value of possible cousin fucking, and that's it. But it's way too long. That book, surprisingly, almost twice as long as this book.
Oh, like the audiobook?
Just the book in general.
Yeah.
It's almost twice as long. This book, I felt definitely a big positive to give it. I felt like it was a pretty appropriate length.
I think so too. I agree. I didn't feel like very many parts were bloated. Like, would I have done it differently? Would we have done it different? Yes.
If anything, I wanted more from different parts.
I didn't. But that's
here's the thing. No, I guess what I'm saying is I would have done more of some things and a little less of other things, but there were things that they definitely glossed over that I was like, how are you just going to gloss over that?
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
The competition.
More of the competition, yeah. I think that this book could have shown 2 or 3 more of the challenges and had more interaction with the other champions.
I wish there were more riddles, to be honest. You know what I was just thinking about
Riddles?
Riddles. Like... I don't want to get too in the weeds about this author that's, like, a transphobe. However, they did do a book that had some cool riddles. Like, as part of the competition, they're having to, like, parse through riddles, clues to get to the next phase. I think this book really could have used that formula, because here's the deal. Selena's learning things outside of the competition. Like, she's learning about the word marks. She's learning about this demon creature. I think it would be cool if she discovered those things through the course of the actual competition, not just as the competition's going around sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's out there trying to parse her riddle, and then, like, oh, fuck, she finds some word marks, and that's how she learns about it. It just felt like the plotting and the world building was a little less sophisticated, and I wish that I could say that gets better. It wasn't. It's just not really Sarah's strong suit.
I didn't really think that it would, so...
No. Well, and I don't even mean in this series. I was just talking to someone today about House of Sky and Breath and Crescent City, and Crescent City is just abominable with the world building. I'm gonna be real. I know that even you Sarah J. Maas fans, like, you feel the same way. The world building in that book's pretty bad. The thing that she has going for her is her character relationships, and that's about it, and, like, her characters. As this series carries on, I'm curious to see how Hayden feels as these characters evolve. I do think Selena does undergo more growth than any of the other characters that
Yeah, because let me tell you, I don't think she underwent any in this book, that's for sure. She started out arrogant and finished off arrogant.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
I'm
like,
not saying
I guess,
it goes
like,
away.
Justifiably arrogant, maybe. Because she's like, oh, I had
I'm
to
a
get
winner,
some help.
baby.
I had to get some help, but I was also unfairly poisoned.
But yeah.
And I still kicked his ass.
All of that being said, like, to me, this is a 3-star read. What would you say?
3-star for me as well.
Would you be interested in carrying on with the series?
I mean, I would.
We always leave it up to y'all, but
I would.
Y'all helped pick this.
Because, like, I don't know, at this point, I feel like it would be more worth to kind of continue to get invested in some characters that I already have some backstory on, instead of potentially start a new series that I like less.
Fair, yeah.
You know? I don't know what else is going to be recommended here. Yeah, I feel like there's a good chance that I will have more to say about these books than I would about another series. For now. I just feel like there's some good commentary to be had. I've taken a peek, not that this really plays into it too much, but I've taken a peek at some of the future books, and all of them seem to be a pretty good length for DBBC as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that should be factored in the future.
Heard it here first. He thinks they're good.
I think they're good.
Period. I'm glad that we read this, and I had a fun time with it. I hope this one was more exciting for y'all as well. I think the past couple have not been our faves. Like, the books have been varied. Credence was not great. We liked Eve Brown, but, like, I feel like the DBBC wasn't DBBCing, and I think it did today.
I didn't have nearly as many takes, cold or hot takes for the other ones, and I don't want to say that I don't like romance because I don't know enough, but I feel like I don't have that much to say about romances in which there isn't a dumb bitch. So,
and you know what, Selena, I can confidently say stays a dumb bitch the whole series. So
yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you would like to see more. I'm betting that the answer's probably gonna be yes. And in which case, I think Air of Fire's the next book, and we will be reading that, I guess. If not, let me know if there's anything else that you're just like fucking clawing tooth and nail for us to see or read, and I'll see if we can do that.
Just realized how massive this makes my hands look.
On that note, ready? Are you ready? Link hands? Feel so much. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.
Until next time.